So what do employees want, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. And really trying to craft a employee benefit strategy. So what is an employee benefit strategy, right? Do we all feel like we have one or not? Sort of, kind of? Sort of, kind of. So in my mind, I wrote down a definition. I'm going to read it. In my mind, an employee benefit strategy really is just you're connecting your business goals, right? So what do you guys have going on internally? Are you in growth mode? Are you trying to hang on to the people you've got? Do you need to hire new people? And what do those people want? And really just trying to put those two things together to help you make sure your employees are taken care of. To me, that's what an employee benefit strategy is. Says easy, does hard, because it can be so specific to everybody, right? So how does this guy work? Let's get up. I don't know. Not working. So I have to like turn it back on because I didn't touch it for a while.
No, you're good.
All right, so here's our goals for today. We're going to talk about what it is and why it's important. We will probably have kind of a round robin type deal of what you guys are doing today, so we can kind of share some ideas. And if you don't have a strategy, we can talk about where to start. And then when we start thinking about crafting this strategy, like I said, we don't want to use blanket statements or wild national benchmarks. We're going to talk about how we can measure what you guys have going on internally and what your employees want specifically. And then I hope you take away some ideas. I think that's one of your questions that I put on there for your certificate. I'm going to give you like 30 ideas. I think I asked you to put down 3. I get that. This doesn't work for me. Okay. All right. So what are the components of an employee benefits strategy, right? Well, first of all, compensation. When you hire somebody, what's the first thing they want to know? How much are you going to pay me, right? How much do I make? The next question, 2 and 3, I mean, it varies depending on the age of the person you're talking to. Young people want to know work-life balance. Do I have a remote option? Is it hybrid? How much time off do I get? But the older the person, the more they probably care about those health benefits, right? Health and wellness. I'm talking about health insurance, dental, life, disability, accident, critical illness, all those fun things that you guys pay for. Now, do you feel like when you're hiring somebody, comp, right? They want to know how much you make. What's the next thing? Is it PTO? Is it time off? Or is it insurance? Depends on the candidate. It does, right? Okay. The next one, we're going to talk about financial benefits. Not my forte, but I'm talking about 401k, IRAs, really that retirement planning. And then something that's really emerging, the last two, sorry. With the younger workforce, we found that they really do care about opportunity within their career. They want to know, what are my growth opportunities? Am I stuck here, or do I have opportunities to move up? And then recognition and rewards. This one's tough. We're not going to talk about it a lot today because it can be so specific. It's by industry, it's by age, it really maybe person to person, but those recognition and rewards is really important. And that's something that you guys probably need to figure out what your people want. You know, I just had my yearly review with my boss, and she's like, well, what motivates you? I said, money. I want to make money. I don't want to be on stage getting an award. I want you to just pay me when I do a good job. She's like, well, that's weird. Because most of the people in my company, they want that award. And they're like, well, this is me. So each person's probably going to be a little bit different. All right, so when we start putting that whole thing together, this is a buzzword. You guys heard of this total rewards concept? Like everybody's talking about it. 10 years ago, total compensation statements was a big deal. You're probably all still doing those today. Anybody not sending out total comp statements? Basically what I'm talking about here is how much do I get paid, but also like how much are you paying towards my health insurance? How much are you doing in my 401k match? All of the things. So like our friends, we've all probably got somebody that we know that works at Country Financial. They've got one of the greatest benefit packages I've ever seen in my life. And their comp package, like outside of their salary, is almost equal to what my friend is making at Country. So if you're not telling your employees that, then they're really missing out on like, hey, we're really investing in you. You should understand this. So all of it comes together as total rewards. And this is really how we approach it. Why are they important? Why are employee benefits important? because are they going to stay or are they going to go? Right. I think that people really do pay attention to what the employer is offering them. And it's a big thing these days. Does my employer care about me? Right. And I think that your employee benefits package and your strategy going forward really tells employees, does my employer care about me? So a good benefit package can help somebody stay, or it can lure them away to another employer. All right, so trends in the market. I thought we should talk about this just for a minute because things have shifted a little bit, right? The pandemic really flipped things upside down. People have started jumping jobs a little bit more since then. It seems a little more attractive. One of the studies that came out recently, we're seeing a lot more, maybe people are just talking about it more, but we're seeing a lot more depression. 1 in 3 people are on an SSRI. They are saying that they're depressed, they're lonely, they have all these feelings. And so that really affects them at work, right? If they're unhappy, the grass could look greener somewhere else. So people are moving jobs. And I don't know if that's a fact or if that's a result of that depression and the way that our mental health is these days. But I think it's definitely a contributing factor. People are paying more too, right? I think the wages were up. I think it was 3% pre-COVID, and it's somewhere between 4.5 upwards of 6, depending on your industry. Nobody here is in healthcare, but those salary increases are up almost double digits. So it's hard to find people, and so we have to pay them more. And how do our budgets reflect that? Turnover, like I said, people are moving around a lot more. My mother's generation, they picked a job, they stayed there their whole career. That's not the case these days. So we have to find new creative ways to keep people. And then our role as employers has evolved, right? Employees are expecting more of us. It's not just a job and health insurance these days. Like I said, they want to feel like you care about them. And that's a new way of operating an employment situation, right? And then again, shifts in the workforce demographics. Probably at Unit 5, you probably have a really big struggle with this because you've got teachers. I mean, I've got a couple of school districts that I work with in the Chicago area. They've got 22-year-old kids coming out of college, and then they've got 68-year-old teachers that are still on the books, right? So it's a really big spread, and it's hard to make them all happy. And then we've got technology. Again, the demographics, we struggle with that too, because we've got some older people that they really don't want to jump in on that technology, but the younger people need it. They demand it. So when we're talking about enrolling in benefits or communicating benefits, they expect to have an app or somebody they can chat with online to understand these things. And then personalized learning. Everybody's different. Everybody wants it tailored to them. And oh gosh, how many people are utilizing AI? Yeah, really, we have to, right? We're leaning into it. We're trying to figure out what the most efficient way to use it is, but it's definitely going to be the future. And I think when it comes to our employee benefits, AI is going to have a huge role, whether we like it or not. I know some people in my company don't like it, but it is what it is, and we have to embrace it. So that's kind of what's going on in the labor market. Let's talk about I guess I'm going to skip over this one because we kind of already talked about it. Some of the challenges that employees are facing that are affecting their engagement and their behavior at work. And it's a lot of wellness, right? Like I'm sitting down right now, I probably should be standing, but sitting is the new smoking, right? And we have a lot of obesity right now. And whether you like him, love him, or hate him, this RFK guy, hopefully he's going to help us with some of this and help kind of reverse some of the negative wellness things that we're seeing in the workplace. But most of our jobs are sitting down. And that's a challenge. So how do we change that, right? What do we do about it? People's finances have changed. I don't know if it's drastically changed, but the reality is most people live paycheck to paycheck, right? We don't have a lot of people that are in our workforces that really just feel like they have it all financially put together. And then burnout, right? How many people feel burnout on a regular basis? Yeah, everybody. I feel like this work-life balance that we talk about all the time, it really has become a work-life integration, which makes it hard to turn it on and turn it off, especially when people work from home. I don't know about you guys, but after dinner, I'm often getting back on my laptop and, making sure I've got all my emails answered. And when my boss emails me at 9 o'clock, I feel compelled to answer her. You know what I mean? So burnout is a real thing, and there are ways that we can structure our employee benefit package to help alleviate that and try to help set that tone and create a culture that it is okay to shut down. In fact, we want you to. Okay, so we talk about total rewards, we talk about benefits. All this costs money. So I don't want to be a negative Nelly right now, but I do want to give you a lay of the land because everything is getting more and more and more expensive. And it is far outpacing inflation, and inflation is outrageous right now. And healthcare is even worse. Overall costs, we're looking at 7 to 8%. It was the same last year. That's largely driven by just the cost of care is what I'm talking about here. So you go to the doctor last year, it's 10% more this year, basically, just for the exact same care. Most of that is because the labor shortage in the healthcare industry. But it's also because of chronic health conditions. The obesity rate is so up and people are having 1, 2, 3 chronic conditions and they're expensive. Gosh, right? You've got an unmanaged diabetic on your plan or somebody with hypertension that isn't taking their medication properly. These are causing our costs to go way, way up. Specialty meds, I mean, they're good. They can cure and manage a lot of conditions these days, but they're expensive. Think about any commercial you see on TV for a medication. Those are your specialty meds. They range anywhere from a couple $1,000s per script all the way up to like 20, 30, sometimes $50,000 per script. Crazy. Who's talking about GLP-1s at work right now? Yeah? You guys covering them?
Yeah.
You are.
That's nice.
My whole sorry, I'm thinking Hy-Vee, my husband, because he just had gastric bypass. They'll cover gastric bypass, but they won't cover
Oh.
GLP-1s.
Uh-huh.
Make that make sense.
Like, I think the last statistic was, because they cost like 1,200 a script. And I think our employees only pay like $22 for the GLP drugs. And you want me to sign you up for a job? Because I will. But we have like 176 people on them right now.
It's gonna probably triple in the next couple of years.
And it's going, well, I think because we're self-insured.
And I would bet you guys are too.
I think we're gonna be changing,
Are you?
unfortunately. I don't know how soon or how quick that's gonna happen, but we're running in a deficit, I
We
think.
started that conversation this year too.
Yeah, it has just been a little, like an executive cabinet, someone made a comment, that's all it is right now.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that when we come to really look at things and how we're gonna make our health insurance move forward, yeah.
Sam, what are you guys doing today? Are you guys fully insured? Or are you self-funded?
We're currently fully insured, although we have been working around with like an HRA is like a not
Yep.
not fully insured, but having more control over some of the self-insured part without fully committing to self-insurance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Baby steps. I got you.
Yeah. Baby steps, and it's kind of like we don't want to run into like what you're running into is where like you jump into like full self-insurance and then you're like, whoops, because it's a lot harder to move back than it is to
Yeah.
the transition from one to the other. So yeah, still fully insured though. So with the GLP-1 drugs, we pay for whatever Blue Cross approves them for. So
Yeah.
I think we've got like 30 people on it or something.
Yeah, so that's why I asked the question. So when you're self-funded, for those in the room that aren't, well versed in it, self-funding means you can kind of choose to cover certain things and choose not to. Sorry, Jessica, fully insured world, Blue Cross tells you what you can and cannot, and they are not covering them for weight loss. Now so the GLP-1s, to be clear, they're diabetic medications. They do have some approval for weight loss. In fact, I think it was Zepbound just got approved for sleep apnea. So, I think we're gonna start to see, it's like, remember Humira, how it just kept getting new patents because it kept getting approved for new conditions. I think we're gonna see that for GLP-1s in perpetuity. I don't think we're gonna see a generic GLP-1 come on the market for a long time unless we're talking about those compounds that come from China. So I could talk about the GLP-1s all day. If you want to take it offline, I'm certainly happy to show you some statistics. Our pharmacy team leaned into this really heavily. Only about 10% of Cottingham and Butler clients cover GLP-1s today. One of my school districts does. And we just did their year-end review and it was their number one drug, most expensive drug. So lots of ideas that we can put in place for those to still have people get their medications, but not break the bank. So anyway, I belabored that probably a little bit too much. But yeah, that's one of the big reasons that, that costs are going up. It's set to be the number one most highest grossing revenue drug by 2.5 times in the history of medication.
Wow.
Insane. Industry developments, that's similar to the specialty medications. We've come out with a lot of new procedures and gene therapies, ways to cure diseases that we couldn't cure before. We had one hit our books at Cottingham and Butler was $3 million for a gene therapy. Cured the kid, you know, it's going to save a ton of money if he's, you know, if I guess if he was on this plan for another 20 years, it might have been a wash. But these new things that are coming out are amazing. We're helping people, but they're expensive. So if you are a self-funded employer, you have to make decisions. We cover these things. We tell people, sorry, we can't fix your hemophilia. We can't afford it. So anyway, that's good, but it's expensive. Aging population. So obviously older people use more healthcare. But what I'm gonna kind of twist around for you a little bit, why things are getting more expensive, because as people age into Medicare pays a lot less for healthcare, a lot less. Hospitals still have an amount of money they need to make. So who picks up the difference when people age into Medicare, the government pays less? Employers, we start to pay more. We make up that difference. So an aging population is twofold. The older people cost more, but then we're also picking up the difference there. Total prescription drug spend, gosh, I think it's up 15% year over year. And it's not just because the cost of the medications, the pharmacy benefit managers are gouging us. There's legislation that I hope will pass that will start to hold them more accountable, have some more transparency. But people are taking more drugs. I mean, doctors, instead of prescribing, I don't know, diet and exercise, are like, here's a pill. My mom just got on cholesterol medicine. I'm like, Mom, why don't you walk on the treadmill instead? But that's just my opinion. Or what?
Those weight losing shots. I feel like that's.
Oh, you walked in at the exact wrong time. We just. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, there's a lot of people doctors are prescribing more. So total prescription drug spend is way up. And then I already touched on the healthcare labor costs. Thoughts, questions, conversation about any of that? Are you depressed now?
It's okay, there's a pill for that.
I mean, statistically, 4 of us in this room are probably on one. All right. So now that I told you how expensive things are, I don't want you to think that there are not ways around it. This is not the focus of our conversation today, but there are lots of things out there that can help alleviate some of this 10% increase that you experience year over year. Care navigation is something, have you guys heard about this? Steerage, advocacy is one of the ways to say it. What we're talking about here is basically, I'm going to use an example. There are no men in the room. Sorry, boys online. I'm 40 now, so I had to get a mammogram. It was really fun. But I'm an OSF patient here in town. And obviously my doctor referred me to OSF. So I get online. I'm a Blue Cross person and I look to see how much it was going to cost. Something like $800 at OSF. Carl is actually a little bit closer for me. $250 at Carl. Exact same procedure, exact same imaging. So care navigation is a way for employees to try to shop for their service. Not everything's shoppable, right? You're not going to shop for an ER visit or for an urgent care or something like that. But when you have to have something done, you can look around for it. And if there is competition within the area that you live in, which we have a lot of, you can look to save some money. And there are programs out there that incentivize the employee to do this by sharing in the savings. So C&B owns a health and wellness company, and we actually have a program called My Advocate 360. It's an app. So the employee can get on there and for knee surgery, this is like procedures like that, they're big money savers. The shop up the road might cost 30 grand for that knee replacement. The one across the street might be 10 grand. And when you think about healthcare too, you think, well, you know, when I go buy a car, the nicer car costs more money. And it's not the same thing in healthcare. Oftentimes, the better doctor is a lower price. It makes me insane. It's a silly game that they play with the insurance companies, but it's not sacrificing quality to save money. So care navigation is something that a lot of companies are doing now, and it's good for the employees too, because they can share in the savings. Specialty programs. So what I'm talking about here is carving out. So when we think about a specialty medication, oftentimes the drug manufacturer will have a patient assistance program depending on the need of the employee. If they make less than say $90,000 a year, they can probably get that medication for free. But there's a loophole because you have to say that it's not covered at work. It's not covered under your program. So that's a way to save the plan a significant amount of money, the employee to get that medication for free. If you want more information, I think it really only applies to a couple of us in the room, so I don't want to belabor it, but a really nice way to save a lot of money. Public programs, there are companies out there that will help employees if you have low income earners. Maybe they qualify for Medicaid, or maybe they qualify for a subsidy on healthcare.gov. Maybe it's Medicare. Right? Maybe Medicare makes more sense for them, but they don't understand it. So they just stick with what they've got. So leveraging the social programs that are out there, focusing on prevention, right? Wellness programming. Is anybody doing wellness programming?
We are.
Yeah. So trying to prevent those heart attacks and trying to help people manage their weight, helping them quitting smoking. These things are trying to prevent those large claims that hit. Technology, virtual primary care. So telehealth. We all probably have that, right? It's included in our fully insured plans as well. But being able to structure your copays and things to really encourage people to use virtual care. It's way more convenient, but it's for somebody that's never done it. It seems strange. I just set my husband up on it. He had the flu and he didn't want to leave the house. I said, well, just get on your teledoc. And he's like, oh, that was really cool. But he wouldn't have probably done it had I not pushed him. So I think it's our job as benefits people and HR people to try and push people to try new things. And technology is one to save a lot of money, really. Point solutions. We're going to talk about this a little bit at the very end. There's literally thousands. I don't know if you guys as HR people get phone calls all the time. Hey, have you heard about this new fancy shiny toy? We get it all the time. There's a lot of good ones out there. It depends on what you're looking for, right? But yeah, I guess I'll save that for a little later because we're going to talk about it. Maybe I'll pose a question to the group. What are you guys doing for cost containment? Any ideas that you guys have implemented that have worked?
We actually have a member rewards program that we've been pushing more each year, and we've noticed significant savings from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the employee is shopping for, okay. Is it an app?
It's through Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah, they've got it on BAM. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how did you get people to engage?
It's communication and just pushing the program, reminding people that it exists,
Yeah.
just general. Yeah, that's really
Tell
the
'em.
only, it's really the only way to do it is.
Tell them again. Tell them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know more about Hy-Vee than I do my own, because that's.
No, that's fine. It actually probably is more
Yeah.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do the focus on prevention, so they have monetary values assigned to certain things. And so if you complete all of those preventative cares by the end of the year, what their fiscal year is, then you save $450 per person on the plan.
Yeah, we have a deductible credit program too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's the wave of the future. So when you start talking about wellness programming, there's the carrot or the stick approach. If you don't do one of those, your wellness program is literally lighting dollars on fire. You're not going to see any return on investment. You have to incent people to do the things that you want them to do. We're stick people most of the time, honestly. Like, it depends on the culture of the company, but like people are more afraid to lose things than they are excited to get things, right? So the stick approach is much more effective. Okay, cool. I wanted to point this out. If you guys want a copy of this, it talks about all those trends that I just went over. Gives you a high level idea of what we're seeing. So C&B is more focused in the Midwest. we'll give you an idea of, we surveyed, I think it was 300 different employers of varying sizes. If you want some benchmarking data in addition to what we shared today, I'm happy to do that later. Okay, so some of us have an employee benefit strategy in place. Some of us are thinking about it. Some of us maybe just want some ideas. So you've got a piece of paper in front of you. This is for you. This is, I'm not going to collect it. I don't think the chamber knows about it either, but this is really just to help you make a plan for what you want to take home with you. And I thought maybe we could share some ideas about what we're doing today to attract and retain talent before I go into how we measure things and some ideas that I have for you. So I don't know, Isabella, do you want to, what are you guys doing over there? I know that you have you run really lean, Heartland Head Start.
Yeah.
Since you didn't get to introduce herself. So what do you guys do? What kind of benefits do you offer to try and bring people in that want to work there?
We have been doing a lot more of like our training days, which usually like most education places will have like a teacher institute day or a training day after you come back from a spring break. We have actually been doing those as more of a mental wellness or some kind of wellness item. Like last time we were talking about food and we had a specialist come in and talk to us.
Yeah.
This one that's coming up, we're having creative art therapy come in and do a demonstration for us and having some
That's neat.
other people come talk about how to de-stress. I think eventually we're also gonna get Crystal to come because for me, I like to declutter when I'm like stressed out and having it all pretty. It just like, so it's that we've been trying to do a lot more of that and doing it in person too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Terry, what about you? When you're consulting on HR, what do you feel like people are talking about a lot?
Well, my particular role, I'm actually a recruiter.
Yeah.
So with what we do is we end up, when we do engage with other small businesses, we do actually partner with, like I said, someone like you or
Mhm.
brokers and things like
Yep.
that. And some of the people that what they're asking about is I would say regarding like the wellness kind of programs,
Mhm.
they're kind of really more interested in what is it that they can offer, how do I say this, at the least kind of expense, honestly, is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's, see, I don't really talk with them specifically with that
Oh,
benefit.
okay. I
So
get it.
that's why I'm like kind of piecing together information that I've talked to. Yeah, that's why that is why I'm here. I mean, our personal company, honestly, our culture, we have a benefit like benefits and things like that, and it's okay. It's okay. But really why we work there is because it's an amazing company. We work on fully remote.
Mhm.
And so with what keeps us there is we get paid well, we have unlimited PTO, and we
Yeah.
get to just do our job
Yeah.
and without micromanagement.
That's awesome, isn't it?
It-
Building a culture is tough. Wilbur, I don't know who wants to jump in here. I feel like I know a couple people that work there and I've heard really great things about your culture and how have you built that? What have you done?
A lot of it is top down, right? Like your leadership is kind of the ceiling for what you're able to do. So as long as we get we have a lot of buy-in from our top leadership on like a lot of the benefits we offer. We have a really like you said, you've seen that like we kind of have this positive culture where the way we like teach people to be leaders is about like rewarding people. And every month we try and do something fun. Like for the last day of the month, we have certain treats and we do something different every time. We have a person who's in charge of that, and that's just a fun part of their job. We have a monthly meeting. We actually just had ours yesterday where we all meet in person if we can possibly meet in person, and we do games and we talk about updates and celebrate people's education and tiers and or advancements and birthdays and anniversaries and all that stuff. So we do a lot with recognition, and I think our benefits kind of follow that as well, where we try and give people more of the benefit of the benefit. I don't know if that makes more sense. So
Yeah. You just, it sounds like it's top down and you really pay attention to the people on a personal level.
mhm.
Yeah, that's great. So from the public sector standpoint, what do you feel like you guys are doing? It's probably a little bit different, private company versus public.
Our benefits package has not changed We made some adjustments last year just because of statutory requirements, but, coming out of COVID, we have noticed a struggle in recruiting, and it ultimately comes down to, what we can offer. The work you're doing. Because people who come to our organization are most likely already passionate about public service and are there to serve,
Yeah.
but, okay, are you gonna still pay me at the same level that I could I could work in a hospital, because we have a nursing home, so I deal with healthcare recruiting. And
Yes.
I can take care of people at the hospital for twice what I make at the county nursing home. So it's, how else can we show that we care and want you here outside of, you're here to serve the public?
We're in building mode right now, I
Yeah.
would say.
Okay.
And the other thing too is that our organization is so big compared to our HR team, which is 3 people when we're fully staffed, and we have our administration team is a big part of that too, which is a little bit bigger. But then that kind of leaves departments to, or historically has left departments to kind of be in charge of retention.
Our departments only exist, our 3 people only existed for
6
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
So we are, yeah.
You run super lean.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so departments are really in charge of additional things that they can do to promote retention. At least up until now, we're trying to build that.
Yeah.
More consistency across our.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, you've got the nursing home, you've got like wildly
And
different, you've got
everything,
professionals, administration, yeah, that's gonna be
All the
difficult.
times with law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how easy you have it, Heather?
Yeah. Yeah. Right, there's just different challenges, yes. I feel like, you know, in our district, like, people do like the time off. I don't know what typical people get, but we give, you know, 12, 15, depending on your role, like sick days, 2 personal that can roll over to 4.
Yeah.
We get, you know, so there's lots of time off availability, plus you get your, you know, we try to advertise those natural benefits with schools. Summers off, you know, spring break, winter break. I mean, not all roles get those. And some roles right now are more hybrid and remote, and we can't offer that in our type of work and serve students successfully. So like what can, like, you know, what can we give them? That's really where we're looking. With administration, we've added a retirement type option. So they have an additional stipend that they can either use towards, like if they'd like the family health plan, because we pay for the single.
Yeah.
They can use it towards that, or they can roll it into a 403B,
Yeah.
which I really like that option, and I feel like people are utilizing that a lot. So we're just trying to look at, like, we have an EAP. And again, we are limited by contract language too, because I serve 3 contracts.
As faculty and.
Certified, classified, and then the laborers for our custodial and
that's
warehouse staff, yeah. So, we have to make sure that it meets there, but like, we're looking at like our EAP, like the utilization is like so low and the cost I feel like is high, and like, we are looking at ways to communicate, get that out more, but we do not see a real huge, and they can get like free counseling sessions, free, but I just, am not sure. So if that's not what they're looking for, like, where could we shift that money to give them a benefit that they would be more engaged with, right? That's what I'm looking at. Like, I feel like we've done a nice job. I've only been in this role for a year, and my team is, we have 7 on my team, but we've had a lot of turnover since I've joined the team. So, yeah. So it's kind of, you know, now we've got a team developed that we feel is very good. So just, yeah, we're trying to examine some of the things that we could offer instead of, or, in addition to, because we're gonna be coming up into a negotiation year.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we have our ideas in place, because the contract says we offer an EAP, but if we're not going to, we need to, like, you know, come back to we need to have these things in order for that, bargaining time.
Yeah. So Amber, I'm thinking about you right now. So EAP is an employee assistance program, and young people, I feel like they're into this, right? More so than older employees that are maybe a little bit more proud. Like if I told my 50-year-old husband that he needed to go see a therapist, he'd probably laugh at me, right? But younger people are way more open to it. And I think the more we talk about it and the more we put things in place, like benefits like this in place, the more they'll get utilized and the more that these young people will feel like you care about them. So EAPs, they do have standalone ones, but they also, if you have a non-medical carrier in place, so if you put like a disability, a life insurance policy in place someday, you guys probably the rest of you all already have them. They've got free EAPs that go alongside them. They're not near as robust. Who do you guys have for disability?
For disability?
Yeah.
I don't think we have disability.
Really?
Uh-uh.
Life insurance?
Administrators.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, like, I feel like, Clemens is the one that houses like our Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they oversee, I think, our life insurance, but disability, like we are looking at some of those like cancer benefits, disability, but we don't have those at this
Okay.
point that employees could elect to participate
Yeah,
in, but we
for
don't
sure.
have those at this point. But our
I-
EAPs through TELUS.
Okay.
I
There's a
100% recommend Principal. I have had really good experiences. The AP we have is attached to the disability insurance we already offer employees. And upgrading the EAP has been really easy and really cheap to do.
Did
If
you
you're
say
with Clemens,
Principal?
Principal, yeah.
Okay.
Most of our non-medical non-medical insurance benefits are through Principal, and I've had a great experience with them. So
Great.
that's my little shameless plug. And we use Clemens as well as our broker. So if you are already with them, they should know.
Okay. Is that Principal? I would say LE at the end.
no, PAL, Principal.
Just as a
yeah,
PAL.
sorry.
When it's-
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure.
There are literally dozens of non-med carriers. Principal is one of our top ones. Sam, good call out there. I've got a couple clients in town that use Mutual of Omaha. They've had success there. MetLife is probably the biggest non-med carrier. Anyway, I say all that because all of the non-med carriers will have some sort of EAP program. Now it's about communicating it, right? I mean, almost every client that I pick up, I say, well, have you guys talked about this? Like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. It's a thing. Blue Cross, the fully insured groups, Jessica, they've got ComPsych. I think you get 3 free visits to a therapist. If you need more than 3, transfers right over to your medical plan, you pay the copay. So the more we talk about these things, I'm glad that it came up. So yeah, EAP is a big one. Anything else people are doing that they feel like is unique that you want to share? I feel like we kind of hit everybody.
Well, one of the things that I like about what our company does, and I don't know depending on the volume of employees, if you can do it, honestly, like all the time I'm hit left and right with, here's your $50 gift card or your $100 employee appreciation. And I know that that's costly but those are the type of those it's like, it feels that value, and kind of like what you were saying, what motivates you? Well, I like getting money.
I like money.
So, and so those are just one of the other things that, and the extra vacation day. And then now, she'll also give us like, we're talking about, well, I don't know, maybe just get your birthday off automatically. So like an extra, but
My list, good job, yeah.
so, but then again, we also have unlimited PTO, but that part of that is people I think they're so used to either 5 days, 10 days,
Yeah.
15 days, that it's our employees going to take advantage of it. And I think that's the only question that we have. How much can we really take? So, but knowing that it's available, I mean, there's so much other aspects, like with what we do at my job, like we have such a good life balance that I don't really need a lot of PTO. So, but
Sure.
knowing that it's there just makes us really much more engaged in what we do, like want to work harder, to be honest. So it's not just about retainment. It's about, I want to work harder for this. I want to be successful with this company.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like the root of all of this is just really trying to figure out a way to build a strong culture. Right? Okay, so let's go on to, where do we start? So that wheel in front of you, like I said, is for you to kind of take back and start making a plan. And I think what people often forget about when they think about an employee benefit strategy is, what are the goals of the business? What are the goals of the organization? Where are you? Where do you want to be? And then the other part of like, I guess I'm gonna skip to number 3, how much money do we have to do these things, right? There is a compensation pie, right? And benefits are just a small part of that. The vast majority of it is gonna be compensation, it's gonna be salary, right? And then understanding the employee needs, that's the next section. I'm gonna give you guys a couple ideas on how to measure that, try to how to figure out what's going on within your own populations. And then we talked about it, communicate, tell them again, tell them 5 different ways, send them postcards, send them text messages, whatever it is. But the reality, you go through open enrollment, right? And you tell them, we added this benefit, it's great, we've got this new thing. And then maybe somebody falls and breaks their leg and they forgot that you added an accident policy or that they have disability available to them. They come to you and say, I told you in open enrollment, open your guide, right? Here it is. So I don't have the perfect solution, but what I will tell you is that communicating in any which way that you can come up with. We've got a communications team at CMB. That's all they do. They make videos, they send text messages, we have apps, they send postcards, whatever they require. We put videos in the break room. If they've got to be in Spanish, that's fine. So this is your roadmap. So as you are kind of going through the next couple sections, if you want to start jotting down ideas of what could work for you, I would encourage that. All right, so this is, I'm going to kind of breeze through this because I don't know how this is going to land for you guys. There are a couple new tools out there to try and understand what people really want. Because like I said, I could tell you what the world wants, but what do they want at the nursing home? What do they want at Nautical, right? What do they want at Tintac? I don't know. You guys probably have a better idea, but when you have 750 people, you can't just write down Sally wants accident, Sally wants cancer, coverage. So these tools, I'm going to skip that. It's about people stay or leave because of a boss. We all know that. There's a couple new tools out there. They're technology driven. This one is called Engage 360. There is another brokerage in town doing something similar. I think a lot of us are going to jump on this bandwagon. Our wellness company developed this technology 5-6 years ago. We beta tested it at CNB. Basically, it's a text message, or I get mine via email, and it's a question. It could be every day. It could be once a week. It could be situational after we have a meeting or we have a situation that happens. The way we use it at CNB is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you get a text or an email asking you a very simple question. The data is compiled in real time. You get a dashboard, and it helps us understand where problems may be lurking that we don't know about. It gives employees an option to give you a comment if they choose. We rarely get comments unless somebody is really happy or really mad. You get that, right? But the idea is to prevent turnover. So let's try to uncover a problem before it turns into somebody quitting. So this is just one of the survey tools that we have in our toolbox. It helps you train managers too. So if I went back to that other slide, right, people stay or leave because of a boss. This helps you find out which bosses are doing great and which ones maybe aren't doing so great. It's de-identified, of course, so you don't know, unless they have less than 5 people that report to them, they don't know who's saying what. But it's a nice way. So maybe Bob Smith needs a little bit of training on how to manage a tough situation, right? Maybe he's getting some negative feedback, and instead of having the people that report to him upset or quit, maybe we train Bob, right? So this is how the Engage 360 kind of works. And this is, I just wanted to kind of show you the way it breaks it down. It's scored 1 through 5, and anything really under 5 is not what you're going for. But it scores it and it breaks it down, and it's, like I said, real time. So it's not one of those, anybody do Gallup polls, Gallup surveys? It used to be a really big thing. Like when I first started at my company, before this was a thing, they would send out a yearly survey and they'd ask you like 12 questions. 5 months later, they compile the data and they have results. And is it really worth anything? We spent all this money on trying to figure out what our employees wanted, but the data is 5 months old. And depending on your turnover rate, maybe those people that are upset don't even work there anymore. So that's why we kind of are looking to tools that have more real-time relevance.
And I know the one that's in town, I don't know the name of the one that's been developed,
Yeah.
but one thing that I like about theirs is because we've had a pilot on it, like not a pilot, we've just got a presentation. That's the word I'm looking, is it shows like what the employer can do.
Yeah.
But it also shows the employee what they can do to better themselves in their position. And it gives a nice like book, like of multiple pages that you can give to the employees after they take it, that kind of breaks all that down.
Instead of just telling you what's going on, how do you fix it?
And that it's like, some things like seem like it's all the employer that needs to do things different, where I think this survey allows the employee to think about and reflect on what they could maybe do differently. Like if you're answering emails at night and you want that work-life balance, like take the thing off your phone so it doesn't pop up. You know, there's just like pieces that I think employees have to take ownership too of.
Yeah.
And maybe they're making assumptions that we want them to work in the evening, and maybe we're not. So just those types of things. And I know like as administrators, we've asked like if you have an action task after business hours that you schedule, send it for the next morning, just to balance that for the employees so they don't feel like they have to do it in the evening. So there's just some things like that we're working on to try to work with that component. But I do like these, and I hope that we go down a path of doing one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're super relevant.
Mhm.
And knowing what the solutions are, I think is important too.
Uh-huh.
So with this comes coaching from the wellness company. So yeah, to your point, not just, hey, you got a problem.
Right.
Now what? What do I do? Okay, so that's one way. Now, so you're gonna ask employees, and so the Engage 360 app and tools like it that Heather was talking about are really designed to take a pulse, right, of what's going on and prevent problems from happening. Now, there's another way of looking at it too. You know, we're gonna think about adding different programs, right? We want to add these what we call work sites. So the critical illness, the accident coverage, the disability policies. Are my employees gonna care? Like, I don't know. Maybe you guys maybe know. But if we're gonna add these things, maybe I have to I gotta find money, right? I don't have an unlimited budget. So am I going to give a pay raise this year, or am I going to put in a new policy? Am I going to reduce the 401k match? Am I going to increase my health insurance deductibles? How do you know? So because we had this problem with our clients, we developed a different kind of survey and a different kind of analysis. Now, I am not a statistician, but a bunch of nerds at CNB are. So they came up with this thing called a conjoint analysis. And the way it works is they put different packages together that basically they cost about the same, right? And it's going to say, would you rather kind of, you want this package or this package? And it helps us understand, do people really care about their health insurance deductible? Are they going to freak out if I bump their $1,000 deductible to $1,500? Or would they rather have $10 more out of their paycheck? Things like that. And it takes into account 6 different types of benefits. You can analyze them. And it doesn't just, oh, I just said that. It doesn't just tell you what people care about most. It gives like a different score to them. So if you did this is the threshold, right? So if I increase the deductible by $500, it's okay. If I increase it by $750, that's where people freak out. So it takes a pulse on the people within your population. There's a lot of stats behind it that I'll be real honest, I don't understand, but it's really amazing. Our CEO, he used to be a McKinsey partner. He's got a Harvard law degree and he's brilliant. And when he learned about this, he thought it was the best thing ever. And he's promoting it like crazy. And it seems like CEOs really do care about this because it's a very simple way to take the temperature of what people are interested in, what we can change without losing people and upsetting them. Does that make sense? It's called Benefit Wave if you guys ever want to learn more about it. But here's kind of what we learned. We probably have, I don't know, 25 or 30 different companies that have utilized this, including our own. And what we learned is, probably not a surprise, PTO and flexibility is what people care about the most across the board. Compensation is really important. And like I said earlier about how people care more about losing something than they care about getting something, taking away a benefit, people don't like that. They don't like that more than they like getting something new. And then things that are maybe a longer term realization. So that 401k match, right? That's important to people, but depending on where they're at in their career, it could be more or less important. But those things that are more immediate rewards, people care about more. So for example, we get profit sharing at my company, and I would really love them to give me that profit sharing in my paycheck, but they put it into my 401k. And so like that, it means a lot to me, but it doesn't, because I'm not going to have that for another 20 years, right? So the things that are more immediate, people take note of more closely. So if we're going to do surveys, like we've got to make sure that we do it right. Number one, it's not even on here, I don't think. If you don't have plans to change anything, don't ask. Right? Because people do feel like you care about it when you ask, but then like, when we told you we wanted this, and you didn't do anything, has the opposite effect. Right? So the keys to having a successful survey program and getting people to participate, like Sam said, it's got to be top down. Leadership has to really buy into these things and promote it. Being able to communicate with people in different ways, right? Different channels, because, you know, the 22-year-old doesn't communicate the same way as a 70-year-old. Keeping them short. The one that we did, that second one, the conjoint survey, it was 10 questions. And it was just side by side. Would you rather? Click, done, click, done. Took 3 minutes. We never want things to be too long because people get paralysis analysis, right? Okay. Integrating your HRIS, so that's your information system, whatever you guys like, an intranet, or if you, however you log on to view your benefits, if you can integrate that, that's way easier. Incentivizing, that's what I mean, incorporating trade-offs. And then if you do need an outside consultant, or if it's just a technology person to come in to help you do that. Questions? Okay. Now let's get on the thing you guys really care about. Ideas. I got lots. They're not all in this presentation, and they are very sometimes specific to the public versus private, small versus big, white collar versus blue collar. But here's some that we can kind of talk about just to give you some ideas that you can start writing down. Are you doing it? If not, why not? Or if you could, why maybe we should. I think it all starts with making your benefits stand out. Like I said, it starts with the communication, and I don't think that can really be effective if we only do it once a year. Is anybody doing like a monthly newsletter to communicate, like a benefits newsletter?
Countywide in general, we
I-
have
Yeah.
specific HR benefits section.
Yeah. Okay. Do people like it?
Great question, yeah.
We don't know.
Haven't surveyed that yet.
Okay, yeah, we don't know, and that's fair. I understand. I help most of my clients do a benefits, we call it benefits buzz or something like that. We highlight one specific benefit. We try to get testimonials. That seems really effective. If we can get somebody to tell a story about how, well, for example, we've got that care navigation one, and we had a person from my company get up at our monthly meeting and say, yep, I got a knee surgery. I saved the company $30,000. I got a check for $5,000. It was awesome. So everybody's like, what? So testimonials are amazing. If you can get your leadership to talk about it. Total comp statements, we talked about that too, so people can understand what you're paying for. If you guys have a payroll system, I assume most of you do, that payroll system oftentimes will create your total comp statement for you. If it doesn't, your broker can sometimes do that for you too. It's just a way to show people like, hey, paying a lot of money for this. I hope you like it. And then simple tweaks to what we already have in place. This, I guess, is really more of an example for my self-funded clients here in the room. Not my clients, my people. You're not my clients, sorry. But being able to structure your plan in such a way that it feels good to the employee, right? So I don't know if you've got a copay on your generic drugs today, but making them free. Like, what's the difference? $2, $0. Free feels a lot better than $2. It's crazy, but it really does. Being able to structure different copays, like a primary care visit versus an ER visit, right? If you've got a lot of ER utilization, maybe we make that ER copay $500, and we make a primary care or an urgent care much less to incentivize the right type of behavior. And it does feel good for the employees. And then I'll show you a couple ways to get creative too. I'm going to skip this since I don't have very many self-funded people in the room. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. Okay, guys? So voluntary benefits, Heather, you mentioned this earlier, that you guys are thinking about adding some things. And I'll tell you that most of the world is doing that. We've seen a big uptick in that. And most of the world is having the employees pay for those benefits. Really, your only cost is the administration. Sometimes also, you're going to get a break from your non-med carrier, whether it's Principal or, Voya, Mutual of Omaha, MetLife, they will give you discounts on other lines of coverage if you implement them. They will often pay you what is called a tech credit as well. So you implement these lines of coverage, they may pay for your information system. You guys ever heard of that? No? Okay. It's a thing. It's really cool. Okay, student loan. Is anybody doing student loan repayment? I think it's $5,200 a year we can do tax deductible. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's really talking about it either. So I mean, are you guys talking about it, Terry?
No, but I want that. That's what that actually would also be a great motivator.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, if you guys are hamstrung by what you can do in the public sector, right?
For us for 10 years, the government.
That's true. Is it 10 years? I didn't know how long it was. There's a retention tool right
Only
there.
120 qualifying payments, right?
Yes. Okay, yeah, there's a retention tool. But if you're stuck with like, I can only pay X amount of dollars in salary, this is a way for you guys to do a benefit if the budget is there. So just trying to get creative with things. I don't know how many people have had their identification stolen. I've had mine taken 3 times. And it sucks. And a lot of companies are putting benefits in place to help employees get through that. In fact, your non-med carrier, Mutual of Omaha, I had a client here in town that went through their ID theft protection. It's a third party that contracts with Mutual of Omaha, and it helped them out immensely. Told them what to do, how to do it. And they paid $0 for it because their identity did get stolen. They had a loan that was taken out on their, it's like, that wasn't me. Okay, so I think you guys are probably all offering a basic term life insurance policy. Most of them are covered at 100% by the employer. But people, I don't think, understand it or appreciate it. It's one of those things you hope you never have to use it. But a lot of people are wildly uninsured in the world. So communicating that life insurance policy and also offering a voluntary buy-up. We have that at my company, and I probably couldn't afford the insurance if I had a private policy. It's much cheaper through the employer. So life insurance is, I mean, it's really important. People don't want to think about it, but we should talk about it. And then those legal plans and services, these are really gaining some traction these days. Legal Shield is probably the most popular one. Have you guys heard of that? Similar to ID theft, but they'll help you with will prep. They will, you know, if you buy a house, you don't have a realtor, they'll walk you through that. Any sort of legal thing you have, divorce, that they cover that too. So just some ideas of what the rest of the world is doing in that benefits trend survey. If you guys want a link to that, it tells you the exact percentages of what people, like what employers are offering. So if you do have a self-funded plan, I'll breeze through this. Actually, you know what? You don't have to have a self-funded plan to do that first one. The copay only health plan. Have you guys heard about this? It's fairly new. United Healthcare started doing this last year, and they called it UHC Surest. So I don't know how many questions you guys get about your health insurance, but people don't understand it. They don't know what an HSA is. They don't know what co-insurance is. And I don't blame them. Before I got into this job, I probably didn't know either. It's confusing for the sake of being confusing. So what the insurance carriers, I mean, whether we like them or not, they are trying to simplify it in a way. So Blue Cross is jumping on the bandwagon as well. But UHC Surest is offered for fully insured plans down to like 50 lives, I think. So almost everybody in this room. Basically, it removes co-insurance. It gives a max out of pocket. Let's say it's $5,000. But then certain services are structured to incentivize the employer, the member, to go to a lower cost, higher quality care. So remember the mammogram example? If I was on the UHC Surest plan, my mammogram, my copay may have been $0 at Carl because it would have saved my company $500, right? Because I have a copay no matter what. So that's the idea. So it gives a flat copay and it removes co-insurance. You're going to pay these flat copays all the way up to your $5,000 max out of pocket. Theoretically, it's still new in the last couple of years, but they're saying it's saving the employer 10 to 12%. It's saving the employee up to 50%. Anybody a mom in the room? Not a baby? Not me. But the way that this program works for OB, You don't hit your max out of pocket if you go to a high quality, low cost OB provider. And that's crazy, right? It's going to cost you $1,000 to have that baby, whether you have complications or not. It's $1,000. Now you go to the more expensive one up the road, you're going to hit that 5,000 max, right? But it incentivizes the employee to make better choices. So these are really gaining a lot of traction. We actually do have several programs out there that are for self-funded as well. They're more effective in the self-funded world because you can layer in condition management. You can layer in more steerage and things like that. So we're really excited about this. I think we're going to see a lot of the world kind of go to this type of model. So different other tweaks that we can make. I don't know if any of you guys are doing financial wellness training. I know a lot of the banks in town really kind of push that. SEPQs, I'm a big fan of them. They'll come on site. They'll teach your people how to manage their finances and manage their 401k. How much do you need to invest to get to your goal when you retire? That's a really nice thing people really care about. And if you do it while they're getting paid on the clock, if you are able to do that, they really love that instead of having to do it after hours. Now, not all of us can be flexible. We've got to have teachers in the office. We've got to have people serving food, right? But there are ways to be flexible, even when you do have to have people on site. And this job sharing thing, it was a thing in the past, but basically having two people doing the same job and just kind of sharing the responsibilities. Now they're part-time, right? But it is a thing and people seem to really like it. Being able to choose your shift, if that's an option, you know, maybe it's by seniority or maybe it's, I don't know. I think at school, we probably only have one shift. You guys have third shift on anything? Yeah. Okay. So being able to choose that and being able to share it, maybe Bob and Joe want to switch off, you know, I don't know, but giving them the flexibility if it's possible. And then trying to do some sort of, like I know companies that do a summer hour thing, they put them on a 4-10 schedule, Monday through Thursday, and they get Fridays off. Not always realistic for everybody, but things that people seem to really like that we're seeing gain some traction. Paid leave, since everybody's talking about it. The birthday PTO, you talked about that earlier, Terry. And then something that we're seeing a lot of is this no limit bereavement. I don't know if anybody in here, hopefully not, but if you've dealt with a bad situation, I personally did 2 years ago, and I was going to take a leave of absence for my company because I didn't feel like I could do my job. And they gave me as much time as I needed, and they didn't cut my pay. They paid me exactly how I always was. And I'll tell you, I'll probably never leave this company because they were so good to me in my time of need. So if we want to talk about retention, I think that is a really nice tool.
There's one of the other things along with bereavement, pet bereavement as well.
Yeah.
People whose pets pass away.
I know
And-
kids.
Yeah, so that's also a suggestion that would be really helpful for people that,
I love that idea.
yeah, just as it is, they're like, and my boss is like, it's just a cat, you know?
To you, it's just a cat.
Yeah, and then you had to come back and show up for work the next day and I'm bawling all day long and I'm like, all right, well, this is what you're gonna get. Yeah, and
I
that's,
get that. That's tough.
so that's just always kind of a nice little thing to see. I know a friend of mine has that pet bereavement in her benefit.
That's wonderful. Love that. The last one on here is the carrier freebies, and I feel like I've talked about it a lot. I didn't really mean to, but your non-med carriers have a lot of really cool stuff. So if you're gonna write one thing down, I would say go back and take a look at what that non-med carrier has to offer and how you can communicate those to your people. Okay, a couple more ideas. Opt-out incentives. When we think about adding benefits or making the most of our benefits, sometimes we need to find money to pay for some of these things. Opt-out incentives are something that we can do to offload people from our benefit plan, free up some money so we can invest in other benefits. And opting out doesn't always mean taking away health insurance from the employee or from the member. There are good ways to do it that feel really good. It's a carrot, not a stick, right? So a 10-year-based opt-out, basically, if you've worked here for 20 years, I'm going to pay you $400 a month to not take my plan. They've got to have coverage elsewhere, but if their spouse works somewhere, maybe the husband works at the county and the wife works at Unit 5, you know, they can go take that plan. They get an extra $400 and they're happy. And it's less belly buttons on your plan, which theoretically is cheaper. Family Advantage is another one. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but that is a really, really nice benefit. Basically, if the husband works at McLean County and they've got the Family Advantage plan in place, they would pay them $400 a month for them to go to your plan. And then they would also pay all the out-of-pocket costs. So they have no deductible, no nothing. It's a bigger conversation, but it's a nice way to offload belly buttons that saves everybody money. It feels really good. You guys heard of anything like that? Have you ever talked about opt-outs?
We talked about it, but we thought that like the opt-outs might, leave us with the ones that have greater needs, and the opt-out would be the ones that are more healthy. Same with the giving the discounts or we talked about giving, we talked about it in here, like giving something for doing that preventative care, but the people that would do it would probably be your healthier.
The ones that are already doing it.
Yes, so like we just have went back and forth with that conversation, not really done much with it.
So the Family Advantage plan is actually designed to offload your larger risk. And we created it for the public sector, actually. So the way it works, just briefly, you think about if I'm going to go take if my husband has coverage at his place of employment, you guys are going to give me a little bit of money to go take that plan. But you're also going to pay all of my out-of-pocket costs. So who is more incentivized? It's the people that are actually spending the money on the out-of-pocket, that are hitting their out-of-pocket, like their deductibles and all of that. Not to say that other people wouldn't take the plan as well.
But wouldn't like the other plan ask, like, do you have health insurance offered at your place of employ? I mean, do they not question that?
What do you mean?
Well, I know like with my children, like whenever I had them on my plan, like, they had to have mine first and then my head, like, it was just like,
Talking about a secondary, yeah.
right,
I
right,
see what you mean. No, this would make the other plan primary.
right. But will they take them as primary when they have an option to have insurance?
Not everybody will.
That was my question, more so than, yeah.
I'm sorry, misunderstood. So
No,
their
that's okay.
kids, they have to take.
Sure.
Yeah, but
sure.
if there is a spousal carve out in place, yeah, they don't have to take it.
Mhm.
30% of the world is doing a spousal carve out. So yeah, there's a 30% chance that they can't take it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's a good point. We don't currently have anybody in this area in Bloomington that I'm aware of, maybe Peoria, that's doing this type of opt-out, this Family Advantage type opt-out. So it's interesting. If you guys want to learn more, let me know. Advocacy we talked about. This is a per employee per month charge typically. The return on investment, I'm hearing, is 3 to 1 because of the steerage. So if that's something you guys are interested in too, I would encourage you. There's a ton of vendors out there. I mean, we have one that we work with directly, but there's probably 100 of them that have some app. And the price ranges anywhere from, I don't know, $3 per employee per month, all the way up to 15. Bill pay assistance. Have you guys heard of Patient, P-A-Y, Patient? The Baby Fold is doing it in town. And basically it's a 0% interest. So if you've got a high deductible plan in place and somebody hits that and they're a low income person, they don't have 10 grand sitting around, Patient will give them a 0% loan and will help them pay that off over time. It is a small fee for the employer, but it is really well received by the employees. And they also offer it for veterinary bills for the animal people in the room.
So what was it called again?
It's called Patient, P-A-Y-T-I-E-N-T. I
Okay,
think
got
in
it.
one of my slides, I said something about point solutions, how there's like hundreds or maybe even thousands. Patient would be one of those point solutions. One that I actually like though, so. And then I think I talked earlier about the social service assistance, trying to help people understand that if there's coverage available to them elsewhere, Medicare often costs less, right? We partner with a company that comes in and they'll do like a calculator. So say that my employee contribution to my plan is $50 a month, my out-of-pocket's $4 grand. They'll run a calculator and say, well, here's what Medicare would cost you. Medicare would be cheaper. It's the same coverage or maybe even better. So that's something I would encourage you if you've got older employees on your plans to really think about that, because then what does it do? It frees up money to help us reinvest back in our other employee benefits. Well, guys, that is really about, I'm going to skip ahead a couple. So our key takeaways today, I'd like you to think about what your employee benefit strategy is and how it may evolve. How are you currently measuring employee engagement and employee satisfaction? And if you need to do something different, what could those things be? And then I hope you had a couple ideas that we talked about today, whether it be from me or things people shared in the room, about what you could do to improve your employee benefits strategy and engagement. I guess I had this one last thing. We already kind of talked about it, about what we've all been doing. And I guess if there was anything that anybody learned or wanted to ask a question about, the last 10 minutes is for you. Sorry, I didn't talk about unemployment a whole lot. Taylor, did you have anything specific you wanted me to touch on?
No, I'm just doing the whole course. So this is just part of it. But no, this was helpful. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Certainly. All right, well, if we don't have questions, we get 10 minutes back. Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate the engagement. The conversation was good. It kind of helps me too to learn about what you guys are doing and what's effective and what some of the constraints are. I understand. I've got a school district going through negotiations right now with their unions, and it's tough. Everybody brings their own agenda to the table. Yeah.